All right, everybody, welcome back. You ready to rock?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I think we're ready to dive into this awesome guide all about learning to play the guitar.
Yeah, roadmap to rocking out. I like that.
Exactly. And we're going to go deep and we're going to break this down.
Yeah,
No need to sift through all the noise and the information out there. We got the good stuff right here.
absolutely. We'll cut right to the chase, get you strumming in no time.
So first things first, right out of the gate, acoustic or electric? Big decision.
It is a big decision, yeah. It can be a little bit overwhelming, to be honest, for a new player.
Right. I mean, I remember when I first started, I was like, oh man, electric guitar. That's where it's at.
Yeah, it's flashy, it's exciting.
It's cool. It's all the rock stars.
Yeah.
But you know what? I ended up getting an acoustic first, and I think that was a good move.
I think that's what this guide recommends too. I mean, it really depends on what you want to play,
Right.
what speaks to your soul. If you're thinking, like sitting around a campfire, singing with friends and family,
Yeah, good point.
acoustic's probably the way to go.
Makes sense.
But if you're hearing, like big arena rock in your head, you're hearing some distortion.
Yeah. You're hearing that screaming lead guitar.
Yeah. You gotta go electric.
All right. So let's say you made the choice. You got your guitar,
You got your axe.
you got your axe.
Yeah.
Now, this guide breaks down the anatomy of the guitar. And it might seem a little intimidating at first, but once you get the basics down, it's not that bad.
Yeah, and I think it's good to learn this stuff even before you really start playing.
That's a really good point.
So we're talking like the neck, the fretboard, the strings.
Tuning pegs,
Yeah.
bridge, the body.
Right. And it's not just about like, memorizing these words for a quiz or something.
Mhm.
It's like you're learning the language of the guitar.
Oh, I like that. It's like learning to speak guitar.
Yeah. And once you know that language, you can communicate better with other players. You can figure out if something's wrong with your guitar.
Yeah. Makes a big difference. You know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
All right, so you've got your guitar, you kind of know the parts. What else do you need?
Well, according to this guide, the essential tools that you need
Okay.
are going to be a tuner, picks, and a capo.
Gotcha. And I would say that tuner, especially starting out, is super, super important.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Your ear might not be trained yet
Yeah.
to tell if your guitar's in tune.
Yeah. And developing that takes time, right?
Oh, it definitely takes time. And you don't want to develop bad habits, like playing out of tune.
Exactly. Train your ear to know what in tune sounds like, and the tuner is going to help you do that.
And they're so easy to use now. You can get a clip-on tuner. You can even use an app on your phone.
Technology is great.
Cheers.
Okay, so you got your axe, you got your gear, you understand the parts. Now you got to figure out how to hold this thing.
How to wield this weapon of rock.
And the guide actually spends a good amount of time talking about posture, whether your dominant leg's forward, which hand goes on the neck.
It sounds a little complicated, but it's really not.
Well, and it might feel a little awkward at first, right?
Oh, yeah. You'll definitely feel a little silly, especially if you're like trying to look in the mirror and make sure you're doing it right. But trust me, it's important.
Right, it's all about ergonomics.
Exactly. You want to be comfortable. You want to avoid strain.
Yeah.
So you can play for hours and hours.
And you're not hurting yourself.
Right.
Nobody wants to, throw their back out trying to play guitar.
Exactly. Rock and roll should not involve a trip to the chiropractor.
So, okay, you're sitting comfortably, guitar in hand. You're ready to make some music.
Time to make some noise.
The guide now dives into hand placement. Both your fretting hand,
And one on the neck.
right, the one on the neck,
Uh,
and then your strumming hand. So obviously this is key, right, to getting those sweet, sweet sounds.
It makes a huge difference. For your fretting hand, you want to use your fingertips.
Okay.
Press those strings down right behind the fret.
Now, why is that so important?
Well, if your fingers are too far from the fret, you get a buzzy sound, and nobody wants that.
No, that's no good.
And if you're too close to the fret, you might mute the string altogether. So it's all about finding that sweet spot.
It really is. It's all about precision. All right, now speaking of technique, the guide introduces some open chords. G, C, D, E, A, and F.
Mm.
Why do you think these are the ones that most beginners start with?
Well, these chords are kind of like the foundation of, so many songs.
Mhm.
And they're relatively easy to learn. They're really versatile.
They sound good.
They sound good, yeah. And I guess it's probably good to mention they're called open chords because you're using some open strings. So strings that you're not fretting.
Okay, so that's why they call them open chords. Makes sense. All right, so you got a few chords under your belt. You're feeling good. You're sitting properly. Now it's time to start strumming.
Let's go.
The guide recommends starting with some simple downstrokes and then moving on to a basic pattern,
Mhm.
like, down, down, up, down, something like that.
Yeah, that classic strumming pattern.
Now, when you're first starting out, do you have any tips for like developing that smooth strumming technique?
The key for me, and I think a lot of new players get tense, especially when they're learning something new.
Sure.
So just relaxed. Don't think about it too hard.
Okay.
Let your hand flow.
Almost like you're brushing the strings instead of like
Yeah,
hitting them.
exactly. And try to feel the rhythm.
Okay. So you've got the basic strumming patterns down. You're feeling good. This is where it gets fun. You got to connect those chords.
That's where the magic happens.
The guide emphasizes the importance of practicing those transitions until they're smooth. And I imagine this takes a lot of practice.
It does. It does. I remember when I was first learning, it was, G to C. And I just could not get it smooth. It felt like my fingers were doing this like weird,
Yeah.
clumsy dance. But with practice, it gets easier. It's
Yeah.
all about muscle memory.
Yeah, it's building that muscle memory. All right, so the guide also recommends a few beginner-friendly songs to get you started. Horse with No Name, Knocking on Heaven's Door, and Love Me Do, classic tunes.
Oh, yeah. These are great for beginners because they use those simple chords that we talked about, those open chords.
Right.
And they have really recognizable melodies. And it's just such a great feeling when you can play a song from beginning to end.
Yeah, even if it's a simple song.
Even if it's simple, it's like, I did it.
Yeah, it's a real confidence booster.
It is. It is.
Okay, so now the guide takes things a little bit deeper, and it starts to talk about scales, specifically the minor pentatonic and the major scale. So for people who are just starting out, what are scales and why are they important to learn?
So I like to think of scales as like the building blocks of melodies.
Yeah.
And they're sequences of notes that kind of help you understand music theory and also help you build that finger dexterity.
Okay.
Moving up and down the fretboard. It might seem kind of technical at first, but it really opens up, a whole world of possibilities on the guitar.
Gotcha. So like the minor pentatonic scale, for instance,
Yeah.
you hear that?
Oh, you hear that everywhere. Blues, rock, pop, you name it. It's a super versatile scale.
Cool. So yes, scales are important, but at the end of the day, the guide really emphasizes one thing, and I think this is the most important thing: practice. Consistent practice.
Yeah. Got to put in the time.
They recommend 15, 30 minutes a day. You don't have to go crazy.
Yeah,
but
little by little. A little every day.
do you have any advice for making that practice time, more effective and also more fun?
Yeah. I would say, first of all, set realistic goals.
Yep.
Don't try to learn, 5 new songs in a day.
Right.
Break your practice time up into chunks.
Okay.
Maybe work on one specific technique.
Right. Like those transitions, for example.
Exactly. Maybe work on like one section of a song. And remember, it's not about speed.
Right.
It's about, accuracy and that clean sound.
Control.
Control, that's the word.
Now, the guide also mentions a bunch of really great online resources that can help you along the way. So we got the Justin Guitar and Fender Play YouTube channels,
Those are fantastic resources.
and then the Musician app, which I've heard good things about. Have you ever used any of these yourself?
Yeah, I've used Justin Guitar. I mean, it's amazing that these are available.
All right.
They're, free lessons, they're interactive, you get feedback. It's like having a guitar teacher, like right there with you.
That's really cool. And I think it just speaks to, how accessible learning guitar has become.
Absolutely. Anyone can do it.
All right. So as we wrap things up here, I think we've really gone deep on this guide. We've given you a roadmap to rocking out.
That's right.
But I think the most important thing, like we said, is to have fun.
Oh, yeah. Enjoy the process.
Learning guitar should be a joy. It shouldn't be a chore.
Explore different styles, play along with your favorite songs, and celebrate the little victories every time you learn a new chord or you nail a transition or you play a whole song all the way through.
Right. Pat yourself on the back.
Exactly.
So there you have it. Our deep dive into learning to play guitar.
Now that you know the basics, the possibilities are endless. What kind of music will you create?
That's a good question. Think about that. Until next time, keep on rocking.
Keep on